Okay, let's pick up where we left off with infancy and childhood with social development. So, um, children develop socially, definitely. This is more of an environmental thing. So, our social development depends a lot on the people that are around us. However, we do have one potential or one particular thing that every child gets, and that's stranger anxiety. Stranger anxiety starts to develop around 8 months. This is the age where infants are starting to form a schema for particular faces or familiar faces, and they're not really able to assimilate a new face. And so the problem is that children want to be around people that they are comfortable with. And so the inability to assimilate new faces leads to this anxiety or the crying about an unfamiliar person. This is not the same thing as stranger danger. So they're not aware that the person that they don't know could potentially be dangerous. They're just like anxious because they're like, I don't know what this face is doing here. I'm only used to moms or dads or whoever it might be. So this is where infants tend to get pretty clingy. Okay, let's talk attachment. So attachment is the positive emotional bond that develops between a child and some individual. It doesn't have to be a parent, but they form this sense of attachment. This is not the same as imprinting in um, animals. So in animals, such as like ducks, they imprint on the first moving object that they see, and that they believe then is to be their mother. Okay. This is not that. So in humans, we develop these attachments over time, which are these positive emotional bonds. Um, Harry Harlow was the very one of the first people to kind of come up with this idea of attachment. What I love about Harry Harlow, he worked at UW-Madison, so a lot of his research came from there. What he did is he took these infant monkeys away from their biological mothers right away at birth. Sad, I know, it is sad. And what they did is he gave the baby monkey two options. Okay, and you can see those two options down here in the right-hand corner. They had a wire mother that provided milk, okay, and then a cloth mother that was warm but had no milk. So this is the nourishment, and this is the comfort, okay? What he found is that baby monkeys spent most of their time clinging to the cloth monkey. Occasionally, they went to the wire monkey to nurse or to get food, but they spent most of their time going to the comfort. What he found is that attachment was about that comfort, that feeling of security rather than nourishment. Okay. So what he did then is he transferred this idea to humans. And he believed then that human attachment grows through the responsiveness of the infant's caregivers to the signals baby provides. So, does that caregiver provide support for whatever that infant needs? Like smiling, crying, reaching. The more a caregiver responds, the more secure the attachment. Okay? So, two different types of attachment: secure attachment, insecure attachment. Secure, there's relaxed and attentive caregiving becomes the backbone of secure attachment. This is a healthy attachment, positive relationship. Insecure attachment is that there's a lot of anxiety when the caregiver is removed because they don't believe that their needs are going to be met. Okay, so they're unsure. Mary Ainsworth continued this research, and she used what we call the strange situation experiment. And you're going to watch a video on this, so you'll get a little bit better of understanding. But what she did is she wanted to test, she wanted a objective test to measure the level of attachment in which the mother and the child enter an unfamiliar room. So they put them in a strange situation. The mother sets the child down to explore. Another adult enters the room and the mother leaves. After a while, the mother returns while the stranger leaves. And what she was looking at is she wanted to see how the child acted when the mother left the room. okay? So she found that securely attached children use mom as kind of like a home base. They'll explore the room, but they'll come back to mom every once in a while. And then when she leaves the room, they show distress, right? Like the baby's like, oh my gosh, where did my mom go? Why did you just leave me here? And then when she returns, they go right to their mom. They're like, oh, thank goodness you're back, right? This is 60% of children, about, so a little over half. Insecurely attached children, however, react differently when the mother leaves the room and when she comes back. We have two different types of insecure attachment. Avoidant insecure is the mom leaves, child doesn't really care, and when she returns, they don't really care. So avoiding mom. They don't cry, they don't go to her when she comes back. Ambivalent is they're displaying anxiety when mom leaves or when mom is in the room and are upset when mom leaves, but when she returns, they may go to her while at the same time hitting or kicking her. So they're like kind of like upset that she left and they're mad at her, but they're really kind of like anxious about her being in the room. Okay, so this is ambivalent. Sometimes it's called anxious ambivalent. So you can see that both ways. So what she found, children who are securely attached tend to be more socially and emotionally well-adjusted. They're seen as cooperative, careful, capable, playful. However, children who lack this secure attachment do not always have difficulties. Attachment style is related to the social environment in which the children are raised. And so if they can form this secure attachment with a different caregiver or someone else in their life, they might be just fine. Okay, so just because a child doesn't have a secure attachment early in life does not mean they will not go on to live a fulfilling life later on. Okay, finally, let's talk about different parenting styles. There are 4 different parenting styles. Authoritarian, parents are rigid, punitive, demanding. There's unquestioning obedience from children. Basically, this is your like ultimate strict parent. Authoritarian, think like authoritarian governments or totalitarian, right? They're very strict. So they have strict standards. They discourage their own expression. Children tend to be very unsociable, unfriendly, withdrawn. Permissive parents are like, sure, do what you want. This is like the mom from Mean Girls, right? I'm the cool mom. So parents give children whatever they want, basically. Relaxed or inconsistent direction, and although nice, they really don't expect anything from their child. Usually this child tends to be immature, moody, very dependent, and have low self-control because there's been no limits placed on them. Then we have authoritative, which is democratic. Okay, so this is firm. They set limits for their children, but they also set goals. They also reason with their children and tend to explain why those limits are set. Usually children have some control in making some decisions and setting goals, and children are encouraged to be independent. These children are often likable, self-reliant, independent, cooperative. So these children tend to have the best outlook on life. And then finally, uninvolved. These are parents that show little interest in their children, emotionally unattached. They view parenting as nothing more than giving food and clothing and shelter for children. In the most extreme form, uninvolved parents are actually guilty of neglect. Usually this children with this type of parent feels unloved and emotionally detached. So ways that I want you to remember the difference between authoritative and authoritarian, okay? So if you look at this N at the end, it looks like a frowny face, right? Just imagine there's 2 dots above it, and that's a sad face. Authoritative, the V kind of forms like a smile, right? So put 2 dots above it and think of it as a smiley face. So authoritarian is sad, authoritative, happy.